Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to Take Basic Learn Where to Begin. We have today's topic, which is a very heavy topic, but we'd like to keep it much simpler and hope you're going to enjoy it. And it is about the architecture. Very precisely, as part of the series, we first try to cover the topic, which is a very basic one, that is a layered architecture. Now, if you can see the screen, it is basically a view how the layered architecture looks like. We have a screen and we have a data store. In between, the codes or the modules that do the actual logic, actual business are separated functionally into primarily four functions. One is called the presentation layer, another application, then business and the data. I will start with the presentation layer, which is a very simple one. If you have a screen which is written, maybe whoever is comfortable in mainframe knows this is something called CICS. So we have designed a screen, say in CICS or in Java or in any other technology, and all the fields that or the inputs or the check boxes and anything that we have, those fields we call it in technical terms in the screen, that can be editable, that can be non-editable. In few cases we can show them, few cases it is completely it is not visible. All these controls can be done through a program or the module which will only control the screens or the UIs. Usually that logic, the layer that contains this logic is called the presentation layer. On a similar note, if something or some codes that is only talks about or only retrieving the data, modifying the data from the data store, which can be a file, which can be a database, anything. Usually we call that layer as a data layer, which basically manipulates, control the database data, where the database is only storing the data, but how the data will be stored, when the data will be stored, whether it will be modified or updated, such functions are actually controlled through this data layer. Sometimes this database and the database logic together also called as a data layer. It depends on how what terminology we're using in the which area or which functions. Now there are two other things, which one is called application layer and one is called business layer. These two again interchangeably sometimes used and sometimes it is used in a separate layer. For the sake of much detailed discussion, I think it's better to address the topic as a two different layers and with an example. I have a applications or I have a I'm in a business where I have a screen which actually create a customer, and also I have another screen which creates an bank account. And there are screens which actually do a linking of both customer and the bank account. So what happened logically in many of the banks, what they do, they use an application which is called customer application, and they do a separate application which controls the bank related data, is called bank application or financial applications. Now the screens supposedly which actually takes both the data is actually retrieving the customer after doing a lot of validation, taking the customer data from the customer application and the bank data from the bank application, and doing the merge and storing either in a separate database or maybe calling a separate application in together and storing the data, or just using it, keeping the data in one of the customer or the bank application based on the need or how the whole system is being designed. It all depends on that. Now, overall, this application, which logically grouping the customer data, we can call is an application layer, which from the initial request, make a judgment whether it will goes to the customer application or with the bank application. So logically, customer application is a separate application layer, which usually do a minimal amount of application related work. Now, the business layers typically contains the business rules. Now, it's a very thin line and very interchangeable line. So some cases, application and business is layered together called application layer. So business rules like, again, I will go back to an example. If a bank make a decision that if there is an user who is less than 18 years, the user cannot create a bank account by themselves, but also have to give a guardian name and the contact who is supposedly from the same bank. Then what this business layer does, have that rules, that logic in the business layer. So whenever there is an customer came who is less than 18 years, immediately it will go and pop up in the screen that give me your, you cannot create, we cannot create you as an user until you just give me the guardian name. And then the guardian details have been taken in the screen. Okay, let me use this leisure pane that will be pointers. It will be easy. So the screen takes the guardian details because the presentation layer by that time taking the guardian details as an input, pass it on to the customer application. That customer application goes to that business layer application, which actually do this validation of the guardian or the customer. Okay, this customer is, as per our requirement, the customer who is a guardian supposed to be the part of the bank. So it checks from the data layer through the database whether the customer is part of our data or not. That means customer is already, guardian is already a customer or not. If yes, then they will say, okay, we can create you as a customer. And when we do a next, it will come back and save the data in the database. And now, boom, the user is a customer of the bank. So that's how this layered architecture works. But just one thing I like to mention, in old programs, many cases, all the 4 layers are part of the single program. So they are, even though they're functionally layered within the program, but they are being represented through a single program. Or it might happen, these layers are in a single program, these are a single program, and these two are the single program. We can call it as a 3-layer architecture in such cases. That means there are 3 visible layers, maybe one presentation, application, business, and one data, or presentation, application, business, data, and the data layer, business and the data layer. So that's how you can see many combinations in the architectural realm. So you have to be a little careful how your system is being designed. It's better to know how the system is being designed because as we are all aware of right now, there are either you are supporting this legacy application. This is a very common layered architecture for legacy applications. And you can see that if there is any issue, which layer it is giving an issue. It might happen that your one of your screen field is not becoming editable field. then you have to know that which area you have to target, that is a presentation layer. It can be in a single program, or it can be in a different programs where the presentation layer is something that you have to look into. Similarly, you might have got a requirement where you need to create a business rule, but you cannot use it in your program, but you have to, there's some business rule which is supposed to be hosted in some other servers, and you have to take it. So okay, it is a business layer that I have to target. I have to either fetch the data from a different server, but the changes, anything that we do, supposed to be in the business layer. So that's how you can think through and target the place that you need to do the change or need to check into. And it will be much more focused change, and very less testing will be required in terms of the change testing. Yeah, of course, there will be regression testing so that you can do things better. That's all for today's topic. Thank you very much. Hope you're going to enjoy what we have just learned. If you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe our channel, please. And leave us a comments that if you have any query, what we discussed right now. If you want a much more detailed discussion on this topic, please do let us know. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Happy learning.